Hello and welcome to this presentation about data dictionaries, in particular data dictionaries as a design tool. So, the primary purpose of this video is for my computing students in Year 11 computing, that's Units 1 and 2, and Year 12, which is Units 3 and 4 software development. The learning intention is that students can explain the structure and purpose of the data dictionary as a design tool. So, let's have a look at what design tools are. I think that most people would probably understand pretty instinctively that a mock-up is a design tool, that we're working out what the screen's going to look like. A mock-up, by the way, is not exactly the same as a wireframe, but they've got a lot in common and are sometimes used interchangeably. Also, we've got our data dictionary where we spell out what our variables are and what their attributes are. The input, process and output chart. Pseudocode to show the logic of the code that you're going to write, and finally object descriptions. So the reason I've got this image here is because your design stage is not design in terms of visual design. That's actually quite a small element of the design tools. What you're doing here is you're getting your ducks in a row in terms of what your processes are doing, what the structure of your code is, what the logic of the code is, so that once you actually go into development, a lot of that pre-thinking has been done and you're ready to deal with the challenges of coding rather than the challenges of conceptualizing how the data is going to hold together. So your data tools are, or your design tools are, kind of data tools there. What's my data going to be like and how's it going to flow? So why do we have a data dictionary? Well, first of all, it just serves as documentation. It's a record of what it is that we've done and what it is that we're going to do. It allows us to have some sort of governance over it and say, this is the naming conventions we're going to use. These are the structures we're going to have. This is how we're all going to be on the same page. And it's technical communication. It's a way of the developers all being on the same page and saying, the variable for this is what it says in the data dictionary, rather than I'll have a go and I'll leave it up to somebody else to work out what I did. Now, most people think that the choices that they make are pretty rational, and that other people will be able to guess them. And that is true a lot of the time. But big, complicated projects, you don't want people having to be detectives to work things out. You want them to be able to go to the documentation. So here is the example from the wiki. So let me just go back to that again. Let's see if I can stop. So we've got the name of the variable. We've got the data type or structure. We've got the format. I don't think you necessarily always have to have the format. The size actually depends on what it is that you're counting. So if you've got an integer, you'll see that they're saying 4 bytes. So how much memory is it taking? The string, you've got how many characters it is. With a decimal, you've got how many letters this side of the decimal point and the other. So it's not always a fixed attribute. It depends on what it is that you're doing with that particular value. The purpose and an example. So that's a pretty typical and functional data dictionary. So let's have a quick look. We've got the data type. We've got the field length. This doesn't matter in really simple things, but if you're building something big, particularly if it's integrating with a relational database, then the person who's setting up the database or maintaining it is going to want to know how much memory to allocate, because that matters once you're starting to work on a larger scale. The permissible values. This helps you when you're writing your validations. If you know what the values are allowed to be, then it's easy for you to write the validations for those inputs. What the default values are, and said the validation rules, which I've already covered. And also the relationships between particular data elements. So that's why we do it. So here's a couple of things that I would do to check your understanding if you're in class with me. Feel free to do these if you're playing at home. In 30 words or fewer, describe when a member of a development team would reference a data dictionary for the project. And the other question I think you should ask yourself is, Penny is working on a 3-person development team with all members writing and testing code, and they're not using a data dictionary. In 30 words or fewer, explain a situation where the team can get themselves into trouble. So that's the end of this presentation. I hope that gives you an idea of what a data dictionary is and what the value is of it and why you should have one for your project.